Michaela Souza is a 19-year-old pop star featured in the Time magazine's 25 most influential people on the internet. CB is a Brazilian icon with over 3 million followers on Instagram. Shudu is a supermodel and social media sensation who has worked with brands like Vogue, Balmain, and Samsung. What's common among all these social media celebrities? They are virtual influencers. Hi, I'm Dr. Sonia Tiwari. I'm a learning experience designer and researcher based in the San Francisco Bay Area. I've previously worked in the gaming industry as an artist, and I love designing kawaii characters. Welcome to the Art of Kid-Friendly VIs. In this video, we will explore VI industry overview, original research summary, VI design considerations, and potential uses of kid-friendly VI. Let's start with VI basics. What is a VI? A virtual influencer is a CGI character that communicates with followers in a first-person voice on social media platforms such as Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok. What can VIs do? Generally speaking, VIs share stories about their life on social media using text, images, and video. But they can also advertise products or services, provide entertainment, offer education, provide social commentary, have opportunities for advocacy, and we can continue to explore more. Let's say with the advancement of generative AI and metaverse, who knows what VIs can do in the children's media space. Kid-friendly VI research. I had this one question on my mind for the longest time. What factors should we consider while designing a kid-friendly VI? Because most of the existing VIs are geared towards preteens, teens, and young adults. I was really curious to imagine what a kid-friendly version of these VIs might look like. For this, I conducted a study at California College of the Arts in San Francisco in fall 2022. I collected data from 5 different sources. I looked at market reports around social media influencer marketing. I looked at the content analysis where I checked out the Instagram accounts of the top most popular virtual influencers and looked for patterns. I interviewed children's media experts and social media experts. I conducted a survey with caregivers of children in the age range of 6 to 10 years old, and I asked them about their social media behaviors. And finally, I conducted a co-creation workshop with 20 families with children in the age range of 6 to 10 years and asked them to co-design a virtual influencer for the future. What kind of features, characteristics, and other elements they would like to see associated with a kid-friendly VI. From the market reports, the one thing that stood out to me was the prediction from the Influencer Marketing Factory and Bold Creators Club, where they estimate the growth of the VI industry to be $15 billion by 2025. In terms of content analysis, I noticed that a lot of virtual influencers that were aimed at children had specific brand archetypes. Now, if you come from the world of marketing, you might have already heard of brand archetypes where each brand, their visual language, their copywriting, everything has a certain appeal and it's trying to reach out to a certain type of audience. And so we can apply the same brand archetypes to virtual influencers. And I noticed that kid-friendly virtual influencers could have one of these 4 brand archetypes, either the creator, which is an imaginative and artistic character, a caregiver, which is a nurturing and compassionate character, an innocent, which is a happy and optimistic character, which is also the most common brand archetype in kid-friendly VIs, and jester, silly yet relatable, kind of like the Minions. The most followed VIs of 2022 are Lou of Magalu, Nobody's Sausage, Kai Kai, and all of these characters have a certain brand archetype which is consistent across all of their content. In terms of interviews, the 2 things that stood out to me in the data was the recommendation from children's media experts to split the VI content in 3 different categories: child-facing, adult-facing, and joint engagement between the child and the adults. So for example, a child could be very active on YouTube Kids or Minecraft or Roblox, while their parents could be very active on Facebook and LinkedIn. So if we want to share the behind the scenes or the research that goes into VIs, we could share that on the adult-facing platforms. And if you want to directly have the VI communicate with children in a first-person voice, we could go to the platforms where children are most active. Another recommendation was to remove the ads from kid-facing platforms and exclusively have them on the adult-facing platforms, because we don't want children to accidentally buy something while they're having a genuine emotional connection with the VI. In terms of the survey, some fun facts that you might find interesting was that the most common social media platforms for the 6 to 10 age group were Minecraft, Roblox, Scratch, and YouTube. And a lot of my researcher friends, when they looked at this data, they were surprised to know that Scratch is considered a social media platform. But if you look closely, Scratch allows children to remix each other's projects and leave comments, and it's a great way for them to connect with other coders, other designers who are like-minded. So it stood out to me that Scratch was one of the most popular social media platforms. And so in terms of designing a kid-friendly VI, we could also consider launching some content on Scratch. Then most popular social media platforms for the parents of children in this range were Instagram and LinkedIn. And a lot of children showed interest in customizing their social media experiences, especially the characters that they engage with. If they could customize the avatars, the gameplay, environments, they're even willing to learn a little bit of coding to have more creative control, more customization. So in terms of designing kid-friendly VIs in the future, even if some customization requires coding on the part of the child, it's good to know that they are willing to do that as long as they get more creative control. From the co-creation workshop, the main idea that I took away was parents want an ethical version of VI, because we are sort of creating a virtual influencer as a person that the child might bond with. And so we want to make sure that that person is a good influence, right? So one of the things parents mentioned was, what if the VI themselves could encourage children to go offline and moderate a little bit so that they're not glued onto their screens so much? What if the VI themselves can share some holistic childhood values and ideas for play in the real world offline? Another recommendation from both children and parents was they do not want a VI who is goody two-shoes, perfect in every way. It's good to have the VI potentially model good behavior, but by no means do the audiences want a VI to be perfect. They want the VI to capture the rawness of childhood and share some flaws and imperfections. And another value from the parents that they cared about was to have experts informing the development of VIs so that they can rest assured that the content, the entire production process, whatever ideas the VI is sharing are all ethical. So in summary, I collected data from these 5 sources. Then I performed a thematic analysis and affinity mapping based on this data, and I used those insights to inform 5 design factors to consider for kid-friendly VIs. So here it is, kid-friendly VI design factors. The first and the most important factor in designing a kid-friendly VI is character and storyverse. Let's look at the example of the Good Advice cupcake. It's one of my favorite VIs ever. Cuppy the cupcake is so recognizable. And when you imagine a cupcake's world, her best friend is a cookie and a cinnamon bun. So it kind of makes sense, that whole universe, that whole story. And so whether a character exists on social media or in film or television, in games, the basics are the same. A good character has a recognizable visual style. It represents something for the target audience. It is relevant to the target audience. It has a unique personality and some specific quirks. For example, Cuppy the cupcake, even though she looks cute and she has a very thin voice, she uses very salty language. It's aimed for adults. So that's the surprise. That's the fun quirk. And the storyverse, again, like in this example, it's a world full of sweet food items, desserts. And so all the characters, environments, plots, subplots, kind of like the Marvel universe, each VI could have their own storyverse. In terms of the content, here's an example of Nobody Sausage. The content completely depends on the target audience and the creator goals. So for Nobody Sausage, most of their content is just like short video clips of the sausage characters dancing. And it's aimed at teens and young adults. And it's kind of silly, doesn't have a very clear goal. It's not educational by any means. It's just entertainment, like bite-sized entertainment. And so the creators had 3D animation skills, and so they went with the style, and this is their content. And so depending on, again, the target audience and whatever skills the creator has, that will sort of dominate what will be included in the content. But when considering for kid-friendly VI, we do have to be more mindful because, again, this is a more vulnerable population, and kids is a very wide and vague term. Young kids' preferences are completely different from older kids. So we need to keep in mind the target audience, specific age range, their interests, their contexts, etc. And again, the creator's expertise and their interests and goals also define what will be included. One key takeaway for our content for kid-friendly VIs is to stick with short format and short format content that is suited for social media, such as images, carousels, GIFs, really short videos, live events, and other experiences which are very quick and brief and friendly for social media. Think about experience. This is the biggest factor. How will kids experience the VI content? The how makes all the difference to the experience. Here's an example of Hatsune Miku. She's a Japanese pop star. She's 16 years old. She has a lot of teen followers. And so sometimes she launches live concerts, which are widely attended virtually. And so she found a unique way to interact with her followers through these virtual concerts. So you can think about creating a transmedia suite, which is a collection of different platforms, devices, and formats that you need to consider. For example, children may be more active on YouTube Kids, and maybe their caregivers and educators are more active on Instagram. So platform-wise, you're thinking about 2 different platforms. In terms of devices, maybe the adults are using their mobile and desktop more, but the child is mostly using a tablet. So when designing a VI-themed experience, know that your main audience is probably going to explore it on a tablet. So the dimensions, the interactivity could be designed for that particular device. You can also think in terms of formats. Maybe the child enjoys watching short films more, but the caregivers and educators who have limited time on their hands may only want GIFs or a blog or a quick DIY activity and things like that. Also consider having a website dedicated to the VI, which could have a very clear CTA or call to action. What is the main call to action? To read something, to watch something, buy something, attend a concert, whatever it is, Clarify that across all social media, including your website. House all the experiences in one place. So because the VI experiences exist on multiple platforms, it can be confusing to keep up, and a website really helps bring all that information together. Consider offering additional resources like articles, projects, freebies, downloadables, etc. on the website, and offer a way for caregivers and educators to contact you as a creator to reach out, give feedback, or collaborate. Think about the ethics. Children are a vulnerable population, and there are no clear cyber laws for virtual influencers. It can be very easy to hide behind an animated character and then pretend that this VI is kid-friendly, but in reality, maybe the content is completely inappropriate, and there are no laws protecting this. So make sure that you create your own moral code as a creator of kid-friendly VIs. Design culturally sensitive, health-conscious, data-safe, that is, treat their privacy with respect, and create developmentally appropriate content. If you don't know all of the things that you need to know yourself, rely on expert guidance. Hire a consultant, a K-12 educator, an early childhood researcher, and also rely on community feedback. If a parent or a caregiver, educator mentions that they like or dislike something, listen to that feedback and incorporate it in the future content for your VI. Monetization. I really love this graphic. These are projections by onbuy.com. They looked at the top virtual influencers. They looked at the number of followers that they have. And then they estimated how much could these VIs earn per post. And based on that, they kind of predicted a yearly income. What's interesting to note here is that there is a really wide range. While Lou of Magalu has over $17 million predicted yearly earnings, you'll see that some of the other influencers only make a few $1,000s at a time. And not all virtual influencers are designed to be monetized, especially when we are talking about kid-friendly virtual influencers. Maybe they don't need to be monetized. But if you are considering to monetize a kid-friendly VI, offer something of genuine value to children, caregivers, and educators. Try not to have any monetization tactics on the child-facing VI platforms, but have all that information clearly available to the caregivers on the adult-facing platforms. Now let's take a look at kid-friendly VI's use cases. The first and the most obvious use case are repurposed VIs. Existing characters from other media such as film, television, gaming, toys, and publishing could easily become VIs. All they need to do is switch to a first-person voice, create some short-form content for social media, have an informal vibe, and test future content. Studio-backed VIs. Let's take the example of Brud, the studio that created Michaela Souza or Little Michaela. They also created two other VIs called Bermuda Isbe and Blocko. On their social media accounts, you'll notice that Bermuda, Blocko, and Michaela hang out together, and so Brud was smart in replicating the production pipeline of Michaela on two more VIs and then have them be friends virtually. This way, they created a nexus of virtual influencers. Another example is Jennifer Aniston and her collaboration with Invisible Universe Animation Studio. She created the character Clyde, inspired by a dog that she adopted in real life. Clyde is active on TikTok and shares health-conscious, healthy eating, healthy cooking sort of short videos. In both these examples, you'll notice how creators collaborated with big animation studios to create high-quality animated content for virtual influencers. Indie VIs. It's very affordable and flexible for independent creators to design virtual influencers. I'll share the examples of Cameron James Wilson and Lauren Brands, who are two of my favorite VI creators. Cameron created Shudu when he noticed that there weren't many dark-skinned women represented in the high fashion industry. Since he launched Shudu, she has had a lot of success. She has graced the covers of some popular fashion magazines and has had collaborations with big fashion brands. Lauren, on the other hand, has delighted many of her followers with her funny, witty, thoughtful videos of the Good Advice Cupcake. So the cost of production can be really low for indie creators, especially if the visual style of the VI is not too complex. There's also the freedom of creative expression. It's a very flexible process. So there is no rush and there's no deadline on how frequently you need to publish on social media or how many platforms you need to publish on. That's totally up to the creator. Finally, let's take a look at the key takeaways from this video. The 5 factors to consider when designing a kid-friendly VI. The first thing you need to remember is character and storyverse. The who. Who is the VI? What makes them unique? What's their story? Then think about the content, the what. What will the VI share with their followers? What ideas, stories, images, videos, etc. Then think about the experience, the where, when, and how. Consider designing a transmedia suite, which includes the platforms, devices, and formats on which you'll share the VI content. Also consider the ethics, the why. Why does the VI do what they do? What moral code guides their actions? And then finally, think about monetization, the which. Which part of the VI experience will cost followers money? If you're interested in learning more about how to design a kid-friendly VI from concept to launch, check back CMC's blog on 4th of July. I will present a complete case study about a kid-friendly VI with character designs, storyverse, a social media calendar, and a website. Thank you. I really appreciate you watching this video. Let's connect on LinkedIn. My name is Dr. Sonia Tiwari, and thanks for having me at Children's Media Conference.